Hey there YouTube, Gamer Ninja here, and another video? Really? Uh, that's a bit unusual. But I figured some people have been wanting me to showcase sort of how I throw together teams. And I figured putting together a team on camera, while not entirely what I normally do, and it's going to be sort of awkward just sort of talking my thought process through. It might be an interesting thing to do, and it might give some of the newer battlers or team builders sort of a general thought process of what goes through a person who has some experience at team building, and what they think about, things to look for, that type of thing. So without further ado, let's get to it. So I'm going to be building this team around a Pokemon, and I'm going to choose Gallade here, Mega-Gallade to be specific. Mega-Gallade has always been really, really strong Mega, and it's always been one of my. I won't call it my favorite because it came in the same generation as Lucario, so it's never been my favorite because Lucario has always been my favorite. But Gallade has always sort of had this sort of soft spot in my heart for being a fighting psychic type, which was a really cool thing. It has an amazing move pool, and while it might not be the incredibly OP threat that other Pokemon might be, it's always going to be a reliable option, and you can usually find a way to shoehorn its way into a team. So for this Gallade, I think I'm gonna go for the Sword Stance variant. That's the standard one. So I'll probably do something like Sword Stance. Knockoff is stupidly good. Probably Zen Headbutt. And the last move is a bit of a toss-up between Drain Punch and Close Combat. I think I want Close Combat more than Drain Punch. I'm not entirely sure though. It's again a bit of a toss-up between your preference. I think I might like the more immediate power of Close Combat in more situations than I'd like the healing ability of Drain Punch. Although I can still totally see the benefits of Drain Punch. As for EVs, I definitely want 252 in speed, and I'm probably going to want. Oh boy, I probably want. Was it Timid? I believe. No, not Timid. Jolly. That's it. Jolly. I probably want a Jolly nature. Now regarding offenses, I probably just want to max out attack, although it feels like a waste to sort of leave its special defense unboosted. That's another good thing about Gallade. It has this very, very nice special defense stat that it can be easily used. With Mega Evolutions, there are two trains of thoughts with ones like Gallade that have sort of three key stats, and in its case, it's attack, its speed, and its special defense. And since its Mega gives it more speed and more attack, I believe, you could throw some EVs into special defense if necessary. Normally at this point, I'd start doing some calcs and see how many Pokemon survive if I max out my attack versus don't. But since this is just a video, I'm just gonna put 4 into the special defense. Maybe it'll help me survive. I gotta think about this a little bit more though. 110 speed, I think, is what Gallade hits. Yeah, it hits 110 speed. So at 110 speed, that's sort of like the new standard speed of what you want your sweeper to be at. So at 110, we speed tie, I believe, with the Lottie twins. Yeah, we speed tie with the Lottie twins. And anything else really notable? We also speed tie with Metagross. We beat Metacham. That's really all. But since both Metagross and the Lottie twins are pretty prevalent, and the fact that the Lottie twins are a fairly significant issue, risking Gallade to a speed tie might not be the best choice. So, with this in mind, I have two choices here. I can either go full offensive and just drop Sword Stance, which I don't think is the right way to go about this, since I lose a lot of wall breaking power. Gallade just mashes through even the sturdiest physical walls at +2, and that's just power that I'm not willing to trade out. Knockoff is great, but I'm wondering if it might be worth it, instead of running that, to go Shadow Sneak. Shadow Sneak would give me the ability to have an answer without risking speed ties to the Lottie twins, who can be physically defensive, particularly Latias, but generally speaking tend to be more of the aggressive types. And it gives me an answer to revenging Metagross. This will require a bit of playtesting, but I think I might do that because of the other Pokemon that I have in mind that go well with Gallade. I can get away with using Shadow Sneak instead of Knockoff. Again, you could probably also even get rid of Zen Headbutt. I just like having Zen Headbutt or Psycho Cut or whichever. Both of them are great moves. I just want to have the double stab. So, with Gallade is a physical offensive Pokemon that hits really hard and really fast, but it struggles in particular against Psychic and Fairy types. So, one Pokemon that immediately springs to any person's mind when they hear that would be Bisharp, who is a Steel Dark type, which basically means it destroys both Fairies and Dark types, and it has a great ability in the form of Defiant. Now, with Bisharp, there are a few different ways you can build it too. You can build it sort of like this tanky thing, or you can go full offense. With the tank, I would want to go not Life Orb, Assault Vest, and with offense, I would probably want to go Life Orb. Regarding moves for Bisharp, Bisharp has a fairly wide move pool, but I probably want to sort of leave him blank for now. I don't know what the rest of my team is going to be, and I'm not entirely sure what I want to do. I know for a fact that I'm doing this. I'm doing Knockoff and Sucker Punch. Those two moves are just absolutely crucial on Bisharp. You don't run Bisharp without either of those, in my opinion. Now, the question is, do I really need the Iron Head? And time will tell if I really do. As for item, I might as well leave that blank, and since I'm sort of leaving this blank for now, I'll probably just sort of fill out the rest of it later. But right now, we have a very solid offensive core. A belt unfinished, but it's really, really strong. Alright, so with those two physical Pokemon, regardless of what I take on Bisharp or how I build Bisharp, I'm going to struggle particularly against the likes of, Ferrothorn will be an issue just because Ferrothorn's Iron Barbs destroy me. Landorus Terrian and Gliscor both answer me pretty well. But all of those sort of just shrug me off. And I probably want something that can hit fairly hard and fairly fast. Well, one of the more popular Landorus sets, and Landorus is a really popular Pokemon, more so than probably the likes of Gliscor, would be Scarfed Landorus, which further limits my options. I need something that's able to come in and ideally just one-shot it, but it's bulky enough that it's really hard to be faster than it and one-shot it. Hold on, let me look at Landorus T. So with Landorus Terrian with a Choice Scarf, that would be about 130-ish, 136 base speed, give or take. So I need something with 136 base speed. I could run my own Scarfer. That would help. So if I run my own Scarfer, what type of Pokemon do I want it to be? Ideally, I want it to be a special attacking Pokemon, and I personally don't like being locked in on a Pokemon with Choice Scarf. Uh, Choice Scarfed Pokemon that come to mind. Choice Scarf Garchomp doesn't really help in that situation. It just sort of gets walled anyway. Choice Scarf Gengar, while hilarious, I don't think it covers what I need. It can answer a lot of the things, but it doesn't just flat out annihilate the problem Pokemon. So that's not it. Scarf Heatran gets just destroyed by Landorus. Scarf Keldale, that's interesting. Scarfed Keldeo might be a thing. Scarfed Latios and Latios are both options, kinda. Manaphy doesn't really use Scarf well, in my opinion. It can use it, I don't like it. Scarfed Magnezone isn't fast enough. Scarfed Raikou would be interesting, but I don't think that fits the bill, really. On my Scarfer, I'd probably want either U-turn or Volt Switch. And probably I'd prefer U-turn, since if I'm in on these Pokemon, I don't want to be locked in on Volt Switch. U-turn would let me smack them pretty hard. So, I don't think Raikou is the right choice here. And since I want something with U-turn, Keldeo with U-turn, while hilarious, probably isn't what I want either. Scarfed Tornadus or Scarfed Thundurus. Scarfed Thundurus. That could be it. Other option. Tornadus Tarian would also be very interesting. It's much faster. It has a decent attack stat. Its special attack stat is strong. It's got an amazing ability in the form of Regenerator that pairs really well with U-turn, which I'm going to give it if I do this. Thundurus might get U-turn, but you almost always want Volt Switch. But I've already determined that I don't want Volt Switch on my Scarfer. And Scarfed Talonflame isn't really a necessity, and that doesn't solve the issue. So I think Tornadus is an option. I think that's the strongest option right now. Weavile is also a choice, though. Weavile destroys both Tornadus, Thundurus, Landorus. It destroys those. And then it also obliterates Gliscor just because it has an Ice-type move and base 120 attack. It's fairly frail, though. Tornadus is way bulkier, and it hits from an opposing spectrum, which I need. On the other hand, Weavile gets Pursuit, which could come in handy. I think, though, for now, I like the combination of Regenerator plus U-turn over Weavile's Priority, Ice Shard, and Pursuit, which are basically its biggest selling points. It's a toss-up right now. I think I want Tornadus Tarian, though. So we'll go with that, and I'm going to run a Choice Scarf. This is going to be a bit of a weird set. And since I have a very specific number of threats that I want to eliminate, this makes it a bit easier. So I know for sure I want to delete people with Hurricane. Hurricane's just really, really strong. I know I want U-turn. And I also know I want Hidden Power Ice, so I can hit Gliscor and Landorus and Tornadus really, really hard with that. Predominantly hitting Gliscor, the flying ground types, or the dragon flying types. Or the dragon ground type, now that I think about Garchomp, who also is a minor issue since he can go physically defensive. So the fourth move should probably be something like Focus Blast, or something that can deal with steel types. Focus Blast immediately comes to mind. Do I have any other noteworthy moves? Brick Break, no. Grass Knot's interesting, although that doesn't help me with my steel type issue. Ooh, it gets Heat Wave? Oh, that's right. I used to do that because back in Gen 5, I used to run Scarfed Tornadus Terrian with Heat Wave to answer Choice Scarfed Lead Genesect and just delete it before it even got going because that thing was annoying as hell. That's an option. I think I might like Heat Wave. Heat Wave seems like a fun thing to run. Regarding EVs, max speed, definitely. And I probably don't need to run the speed boosting nature since I'm pretty much faster than anything that wants to use a choice scarf just because of my base 121 speed. So that means that I can put a little bit more into my offense. I definitely want to go harder into this. And then I guess I can put... Do I want to lose my attack? I might want to do... What was it? Not naive. Plus special attack minus speed. What was that nature? I might want to do... Impish? No. Oh, screw it. I can... Oh, wait. I can do it this way, can't I? I can do plus here. And then I'll put a minus in special defense. And I'll get the rash nature. Rash nature is an interesting choice. It doesn't sacrifice the little bit of damage on U-turn, which might come in handy. In return, it makes me a bit squishier to special attackers. But I'm not too concerned about that. Most Pokemon won't be faster than me. And if they are faster than me... They're either A, using a priority move, which is usually physical, or B, I'm probably paralyzed, in which case I'm screwed over anyway. So I might as well put that there. And I'll put the 4 points in the attack, just so I have that U-turn do just a little bit more damage on the switch-arounds, which can come in handy. Now, my team right now is fairly aggressive, and now that I think about it, I had a sort of a minor revelation with Bisharp. I mentioned earlier when I was considering my third party member that Pursuit is really, really strong. And it occurs to me that Pursuit is an option for Bisharp. And since Pursuit is really, really strong on Bisharp, that's something to consider. But now I have 3 Dark-type moves. But on the other hand, Dark-type moves are pretty much, pretty broken, actually, in many respects. Particularly Knockoff and Sucker Punch. They're going to hit like trucks no matter what you do. So, I think now I need something a bit bulkier to help deal with any more offensive threats. So, with this in mind, I probably want something... like a Wish Passer or something. What do I need in my Wish Passer? Wish Passing would really help out with this team, since I don't have any form of recovery on my 3 primary offensive Pokemon. So, what is needed? Well, I need a way to clear hazards, because I have a Tornadus, and I don't like Stealth Rocks, even though Regenerator helps alleviate that. I also would appreciate Stealth Rocks. Stealth Rocks are pretty much key on any team. So, what Pokemon are Wish Passers, or... And, I should say, and some form of stealth rocks. So a wish passing stealth rocker, that's what I want. Stealth rockers. Bisharp I think can learn it, but it doesn't learn wish. Does Chansey learn stealth rock? Yes, it does. Chansey is an option. And that also means that Blissey is an option. It also gets Heal Bell, which is a move I could use. The question is, what moveset do I want to run with either of those? I'll have to consider that. Whoops, that is not what I meant to do. How do I list this? I messed up. Sorry, guys. Anyway, Chansey is definitely an option, as is Blissey. I think I prefer Blissey over Chansey right now, because Blissey isn't screwed over nearly as hard by knockoff, so I'd probably run Blissey over Chansey. What are some other options? It's good to look at all your options first. Some other options, or as many as you can think of. Diancie doesn't learn Wish, I don't think. Jirachi learns both Wish and I believe it learns Stealth Rock. Let's check. Yes, that's true. And yes, it does. So that's another choice. And that's a really good Pokemon too. Base 100 stats all around. It doesn't have a really terrible stat. And it gives me another answer to fairy types that Bisharp also checks. That's a choice. That is an option here. But then, looking at my 4 Pokemon, if I were to run Jirachi, what could be an issue? Well, let's look at the list again. Mega Alakazam gets destroyed by the likes of Bisharp and Gallade. Mega Altaria is a bit of an issue, although Bisharp and Tornadus should be able to clean that up. Azumarill, none of my Pokemon really can handle, and that's something I could consider. Opposing Bisharp's Gallade usually wins. If worse comes to worse, I can send in Tornadus and Heat Wave it. Breloom gets annihilated by Tornadus. Celebi isn't really a threat on its own. Clefable. Clefable isn't a threat to my team, but it is a great stall breaker in many respects, which I don't lack breakers, but I'm not using them as stall breakers. Really, I guess. So right now it's a 3-way fight between Jirachi, Clefable, and Blissey. Clefable's pros over Blissey. Well, it gets a very strong ability in the form of Unaware or Magic Guard. Both of those are really strong, but I think Unaware is stronger. That isn't to say that Natural Cure is weak. It's just that those two abilities literally make Clefable ridiculous. Both of them get Wish and Stealth Rock. Blissey is definitely a more defensive Pokemon, whereas Clefable can do some more offensive shenanigans. I think with how my team is shaping up, this is definitely a more balanced team, but I'm definitely leading more towards the likes of Clefable right now. Because when you use a Blissey or a Chansey, you're killing your own momentum. And since this team seems to be very much get the ball rolling and keep it rolling, Blissey and Chansey don't really have a way of keeping the ball rolling. They're great at stopping the opponent's ball from rolling, but they're not really good at keeping your own momentum going. So I think I might like Unaware Clefable. Unaware Clefable is probably the better Clefable compared to Life Orb Clefable with Unaware. The reason for that is simply that you beat out most Pokemon that are trying to set up. You beat up stall Pokemon really well. Calm Minders will eventually fall to you because you ignore their special defense boosts, and you ignore their offensive boosts as well. So it works out really well. And it gets knockoff. I did not know that. Regarding moveset, Moonblast, Wish, Stealth Rocks is what I wanted. And then for the fourth move, we'll leave it open for now. We'll leave that open. Item is definitely leftovers, though. Excuse me. We want this Pokemon to stay alive as long as possible. Any means that we have to really help prolong its life is greatly appreciated. Thinking about last moves now. Aromatherapy and Heal Bell effectively do the same thing. They both cure all Pokemon of their status conditions, and that goes really well with Wish and makes Clefable into a really good clerical Pokemon, able to sort of get everybody back into fighting shape. Body Slam used to be good back in Gen 1. Encore's interesting. Calm Mind is really good, and it's worth a look. That would give me a special setup sweeper and something that's really, really tanky. But on the other hand, I'm sort of overworking this thing already by being my hazard setter. So I don't think I want to do that. Ice Beam is great for coverage. We're already running Moonblast. Magic Coat is hilarious when it works. Seismic Toss, Shadow Ball, Soft Boiled, Substitute, Thunder Wave, and Toxic. Toxic might be interesting. Well, oh, and Protect. Protect is also really good. Especially since I have Wish and I don't have an immediate way of recovering myself. That would probably be the safest choice. So, for now, we'll go with Protect. And we'll just do... Yeah, we'll be specially defensive. That was basically the role that Blissey was going to fill. Specially defensive wall thing that can tank a lot of hits. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work really well, I think. This thing does have some ability to keep the momentum going, too. You know what? No. Since I'm running Protect, I'm going to try Calm Mind, actually. The reason is, again, I want to be able to keep offensive momentum going. And if I use Protect, I lose a lot of that. On the other hand, Protect and Wish go really well together. We'll test it out and we'll see. So, right now, I got my three offensive threats, excuse me, because of Tornadus. I have a Clefable for my special defense, so I need, ideally, some type of physical defensive thing. Now, what are my weaknesses at this point? I'm a bit weak to fire. Clefable's weak to poison, but that's covered by Bisharp. I'm weak to electricity. I'm weak to ice, but that's covered by both Gallade and Bisharp. What physical wall could I use that doesn't really open up too many things? Ferrothorn is always a good choice for a physical wall, but I would be compounding my fire weaknesses a bit much. And Ferrothorn can keep offensive momentum going, but I don't think that's the type of Pokemon I want. I want something that's able to be a threat on the offensive side while being able to wall stuff. So I want something that has some bulk to it. Heatran's a really good physical wall. But that 4 times weakness to ground, and it's fairly slow. And I've nothing against using slower Pokemon. It's just that's not really what I want to do here. Jirachi, again, is a fairly decent option. Jirachi will always be a good option. Keldeo's not really a wall. The Lottie twins can work, I guess, but they're not really meant to sit there and wall things, which is sort of what I need to do here. Magnezone, Manaphy don't work. Mew is again in the same boat as Jirachi. It just sort of works regardless of how you use it. Base 100 stats all around is always good. You're bulky, you're aggressive, you can do whatever you want. Rotom Wash. Now, Rotom Wash is really, really good just on it as a Pokemon overall. It's got a great typing, great ability, and a very good move pool. Actually, Rotom Wash would pair really well with Tornadus, since Rotom Wash almost always runs Volt Switch. Volt Switch with Tornadus Tease, U-turn. I could run Will-O-Wisp, physically defensive, Hydro Pump. Yeah, okay. Rotom Wash will do. Rotom Wash will do very nicely here. Leftovers, Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp really helps out with chip damage, and it cripples the likes of physical walls really well. Volt Switch is really, really strong. Hydro Pump is really, really strong. And now for the 4th move. Now, Rotom has quite a few different options for a 4th move. It can run things like Pain Split, which is really good. And that's worth thinking about, because that would give it a little bit more sustain and the ability to hang around a bit longer. And it can help cripple opposing walls. Alternative options would be Thunderbolt, I guess, so I don't have to always switch out when I hit things with an electric move. Yeah. Those are really the 2 primary options. I guess Toxic is worth a look, too. And I could run, this dual status thing. If it's a special attacker, I Toxic it. If it's a physical attacker, I burn it. That's an option. Substitute's always worth a look. But I think in the essence of keeping my momentum alive, I want to keep Rotom alive longer. And Pain Split is really good both offensively and defensively. It keeps up my offensive pressure while keeping my defensive power up, if I use it right. So I think Pain Split wins out here. And yeah, that's basically what I was going to do. Oh wait, no it wasn't. No. Well, I could do that. But we're going to do it this way instead. And then we're going to do plus in defense. Well, we'll see how this works out. I don't know if I really need to invest that heavily in defense, actually. Having base 107 defenses is really good just all around. Investing in HP is basically a necessity. And for now, I'll stick with that since I had the special defense in Clefable. But it's definitely worth considering flipping that around since their attack should be halved on Will-O-Wisp. So we'll see. This is also a very good answer overall to Talonflame, if you're having issues with that. So what do I have here? I've got my physical threats down. I've got special threats in both Tornadus and now Rotom and Clefable now. So the only real thing I need now is some way to clear hazards. Since, well, I'm not really weak to rocks overall. or any hazard really. In fact, I benefit off of Sticky Web if Bisharp's around. That is the dream setup. If the enemy uses Sticky Web, you send in Bisharp, your speed goes down, but then you get +2 attack and just start spamming Sucker Punch and win just off of that. But I digress. I should probably have some way to clear my hazards. So rapid spinners to consider include the likes of Starmie, but that can work, but I already have Rotom for the water type, and I already have a psychic type. Donphan is a bit weak, although it's worth considering. Excadrill's a fantastic Pokemon in many respects, but you really want sand with it. And I just don't have that luxury here. There aren't really many rapid spinners. I guess another option could be Forretress. Forretress gets rapid spin. It's a bug steel type, which gives it only one real weakness. Actually, I think that is its only weakness is fire. And it gets Volt Switch, which helps out with Tornadus and Rotom. But it suffers from an issue of just being pretty bad overall. But if I were to run Fortress, I could use Spikes, Toxic Spikes, or I could just remove Stealth Rock from Clefable and move it over to Fortress. Do I really need a hazard clearer? Yeah, I think I do. I actually think I do. None of my Pokemon have really a reliable way to heal themselves, so taking chip damage on switch in is really bad, especially since I'm pretty much relying on Clefable to Wish Pass around. So I think I do need a way of just clearing the enemy hazards. And while I do appreciate them, I think I've got enough ways to sort of revenge kill things that are low, that the chip damage, if I don't get a one-shot, because I don't have the hazards myself, it's not the end of the world. So this means I can run Defog. Defog is a really good move as well. One of the worst moves became one of the best moves in the course of one generation. Funny how that works. So, Defoggers. Oh boy. Defoggers worth looking at. Well, immediately I'm looking at the Lottie twins. Where are they? The Lottie twins are both really good as defoggers. On this team, I'd probably use Latios over Latios, excuse me. Again, the whole issue of just keeping my offensive momentum going is really, really important to me. And while this may not be the most heavily oriented offensive team, I need a way to just keep my advantage going. So, Latios is definitely a top contender in that regard. It has high damage, fairly strong typing. I might be doubling up on my psychic types, which is a concern, but I'm getting a dragon type, which is really, really good. Other options include Skarmory, which isn't really an option. Defog on Talonflame. Now that's interesting. It is a flying type move, so we get the Gale Wings boost. But then why would I use Talonflame? What else does Talonflame bring? And what does it cause an issue for? Talonflame then needs a way outside of itself to remove rocks, so I don't think this would work. So no Talonflame. Losing half your health on a switch-in is really, really saddening. I believe Dragonite learns T-Fog, but it suffers from a similar issue to Talonflame. You want something outside of it to be able to remove hazards, not itself. I guess it's just going to have to be Latios. Mew is another consideration, actually. Defog on Mew is interesting. And actually, I could use Mew to take Stealth Rocks and put it on Mew then. That's a consideration. But I think I want the heavier damage of Latios more. So if I were to run a Latios, item notwithstanding, I definitely want Draco Meteor. What are some issues here? I don't have a really strong way. What are some problem Pokemon? I've got to check to basically everything I can think of off the top of my head. Well, I can use this extra size shock here, so I'm not totally walled by special things. Size shock's really strong. It learns Tailwind. That's an interesting choice. Memento's really cool. I love using Memento, and as sad as that is to say, that's a really strong move if you use it right. Defog is on. And I also get Roost. Thunderbolt, I believe. Ice Beam, too. I don't have a way to really answer water types effectively. So, Thunderbolt, I guess. I guess I'll try Thunderbolt. I don't normally run Thunderbolt on this. So, it's a choice. I guess I'd also want to run Expert Belt here. It's either Expert Belt or Life Orb. Which one is better? Expert Belt's damage isn't consistent and it's weaker than Life Orb. But Life Orb's recoil is really not that appealing. On the other hand, I do have Clefable to help deal with that. Decisions. Are there any other items worth considering? Leftovers, I guess. I guess that's it. It's basically Expert Belt, Life Orb, or Leftovers. And I think I might want the Expert Belt. No, because I know for a fact I miss out on a lot of kills without Life Orb. As sad as that is to say, that extra 10% damage is a big difference when you're dropping Draco Meteors. It can make the difference between a 1-hit KO and a 2-hit KO. So, I think I want Life Orb here. I'll try out different things, and I'm definitely not... This team is not set in stone. None of my teams on their first iterations are ever set in stone. And that's one of the things that a lot of trainers need to sort of realize. If a teammate isn't pulling its weight, change up some moves and try some different things. So, but this is usually how my initial team building process goes. I try to solve issues in multiple ways, and I try to think of as many solutions as I can. So if I start rambling, that's usually why. So I apologize if this is sort of long-winded. But it's not easy building a team in the current meta. There's a lot of different threats you have to keep in your head, and a lot of different teams overall you have to keep in your head, while keeping your own team flexible enough to deal with them. So we have our set for Latios, we have our set for Rotom, we have our set for Clefable, we have our set for Tornadus. Bisharp's really the only one that we don't have. And the more I'm thinking about it, the more I like Pursuit, because Bisharp, by its nature, will force out a lot of things. And Pursuit punishes the opponent for being a coward. And that's really cool. It also creates sort of this 50-50 chance. If they switch out, they're not vulnerable to Sucker Punch, but they're vulnerable both to Pursuit and Knockoff. So it sort of puts the opponent in a really hard spot running both of those. So we'll see how it works out. Now, since I don't have a hardcore answer to fairy types right now, and those are a bit of an issue, especially for Gallade and Latios. I definitely want Ironhead. That is confirmed now. So the question now remains, what do I want to do in regards to item? I'm running 4 offensive moves, so Assault Vest is an option, and it's a good option. And I think I might. But losing damage off of Life Orb is a pain. Bisharp gets a lot of kills with Life Orb, like a lot of kills. On the other hand, Life Orb's 10% recoil is usually how you beat a Bisharp at +2, which does happen off a Defiant. If Bisharp gets to +2, you basically just try to stall it out and hope Life Orb gets it low enough to where you can kill it. Wait a second. I'm running 3 dark moves, and normally I don't like that, but in this case, this does open up the possibility to run Black Glasses. Black Glasses powers up my 3 predominant moves, which are Knockoff, Sucker Punch, and Pursuit. And it does it by a fairly large margin, while not being restricted to Expert Belt's super effective hit. I kind of like that. Black Glasses. Yeah, I actually really like that. Assault Vest is still worth testing later on, but I think Black Glasses might be the way to go. I really like this, actually. So, since I'm running a more offensive one, I'm probably going to go a Jolly Nature to max out my speed and go 252 in speed, so I'm as fast as possible. Because even though I have Sucker Punch, being slower than any opposing walls or any moderately bulky Pokemon really, really, really sucks. Max attack because I want to hit things really, really hard, and I guess I'll put 4 points into HP here. Oh no, I don't want to do that because then I'm at an even number, and being an even number means I have only 4 switches into Stealth Rock, or however many. Oh no, it'd be what? I take only 6.5, so I get like I lose a switch in on Stealth Rock because of how the numbers work out if I'm just switching around. So I probably want to put it 4 into Special Defense because that's the weaker stat. Odd number. We want 248 here for the same reason. Having an odd number of HP means that your Pokemon will survive with 1 health off of Stealth Rock, is basically why. And that means we can put a little bit more into the offense. Clefable, 248 HP I think is better here. And then we put 8 into special attack. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Alright, so in short, we have Swords Dance Gallade to blow things up. We have Black Glasses Bisharp, which is basically our Pursuit Trapper and another Wall Breaker. Tornadus Terrian as our Revenge Killer and our answer to the Landorus problem. Clefable as our Wish Passer and Stealth Rocker. Also a backup special attacker. Rodham for our physical wall and special attacking thing. Latios for defog and special attacking. Not bad. Not bad. I've definitely seen some worse teams than this. I don't know if this could work really, really well, but on paper, if I do it right, I don't see why I couldn't do really well with this. Huh. Not bad. Anyway, that's sort of the type of things you have to ask yourself when you're building a team. What do I need? What are some problems? And more importantly, you need to sort of be open to expansion, so to speak. Like, I was initially thinking that Clefable was going to be a Chansey, and then the more I thought about it, Chansey just didn't fit what my overarching team was shaping out to be, which was sort of an offensive thing that had a fairly solid defensive backbone, because none of my Pokemon are really horribly frail. Gallade has a fairly nice special defense. Bisharp has a nice defense. Tornadus just has very good stats all around. Clefable is fairly bulky. Rotom Wash is fairly bulky. And Latios has some decent amount of bulk. So my Pokemon aren't completely frail. So I can't call this a hyper offensive team. But I'm definitely leading more to an offensive play style with this. So I like this team. I actually really like it. Let me rephrase. I'm definitely gonna do some videos with this team, and I'm probably gonna do some play testing and sort of throw up some more ideas. But I think this video has rambled on for, oh my lord, 50 minutes. So I think this is a good point to end it. So I hope you all learned a little bit of what you have to sort of ask yourself while watching this video. So anyway, I'm the Gamer Ninja. I had a lot of fun with this. It was really fun building this team, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Anyway, have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye!